Warning, the Renegade Recruiter is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious recruitment, staffing, and search business owner who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches, without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Terry Edwards. The Renegade Recruiter is unleashed.
Hello. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter, and welcome to this week's podcast. And of course, we're joined by our host, Drew. How are you, Drew?
Good, thank you, Terry. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And in this week, we're going to be looking at referrals and why referrals are the best leads you can get. And we're also going to share with you some of the tips from the top salespeople in the world. But before we get started, look, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends. If you don't enjoy it, stop listening and keep it to yourself. For show notes, go to www.therenegaderecruiter.com. So let's get going. So we're looking at referrals today, and what we're going to look at first of all, why referrals are the best leads you can get. Well, the most obvious thing is they're free. Think about it. In most cases, to acquire leads, there's a cost involved, whether it's pay-per-click, direct mail, your salesperson or your consultant. Often there's some cost involved. One of the beauties with referrals is the only cost is your time. Also with referrals, they tend to be easier in terms of selling to them. A client that gives you a referral is more likely to be loyal to you. See, it's difficult for an existing client to give you a referral and then not do business with you. And also the person that they give us a referral, they tend to stay with you longer as well. I'm gonna offline. Drew and I were talking about a dentist in Australia. Drew, can you just share that story that you shared with me just offline about the dentist in Australia, please?
Yeah. So the guy who goes by the name of Paddi, I believe, and he sort of became well known as the crazy Australian dentist. So obviously he's based in Australia, and the reason he was known as the crazy Australian dentist is because he set out to improve his sales, and the way he did this sort of completely defies the norms of what dentists at the time were doing. So what he done is he stopped most forms of marketing. He stopped any marketing he was doing. He pulled down the signs, locked his front door, took his name out of the phone book. He fired more than half of his clients. And what he did instead, so he kept the clients that he enjoyed working with, he kept his best clients, and he made his practice exclusive. He made the decision that he would only work with people who were referred to him by his current clients. So not the ones that he fired, the current clients who actually likes working with. And when he did it, he changed sort of he was sort of a busy guy working sort of non-stop. He was able to sort of completely transform his business. He sort of went from sort of working all the time to working just 23 hours per week. And he was able to earn 2.5 times more than he was earning before. And most importantly, he enjoyed what he was doing more because he got rid of all the bad clients. And then we spoke in numerous podcasts about only working with people who you enjoy working with. And he done just that. So we got rid of all the bad clients, only sort of worked with the people he enjoyed working with, and then only took clients on via referral. So they would, in order to sort of work with them, they would have to meet a certain criteria. They'd have to be like and similar to the clients that you already have, the ones who enjoyed working with, the ones who you got on with, the ones who were willing to pay more than 2.5 times more for the service. And he did all of this with referrals.
Excellent. And his name is known as the crazy Australian dentist, but his actual name is Paddi, Paddi Lund, Lund. I think your mic might be touching something, because picking up, I might be touching on your clothing or something. But yeah, Paddi Lund, the crazy Australian dentist. And something that we say to you frequently, in fact, is, look, if you do what successful people do, you can have what successful people have got. Now, if you heard that story there from the crazy dentist, you might think, yeah, but my business is different. I promise you it's not. That same technique, as you're going to see in a moment, can work exactly, can work just as well for you. So if you're working with clients that you don't enjoy working with, that's your choice, and you can fire them if you want to. You can be very selective who you work with, and the clients that you're working with right now, that is your choice. I used to work with a search firm in London, and he would do about $250,000 a year purely on referrals, and we're going to kind of touch on what he did there. So that's Paddi Lund. There's another chap called Joe Girard. Spell his surname. It's Girard, and he became known as the world's greatest salesman. If you think about when you go into a car showroom, the moment you walk into the reception, they kind of pounce on you and they're trying to sell you a car. What Joe realizes is that most people don't do it on the first date. Now, sure, some people do, but most people don't. But before I tell you what he did, let me just give you some statistics about Joe. In total, Joe sold more than 13,000 vehicles. That's an average of 6 cars a day. By the way, he only sold to retail rather than to businesses. So he was selling to the consumer on the street rather than businesses. He was averaging 6 cars a day. I think the average car salesman at the moment is doing between sort of 8 and 14 cars a month. Spot the difference. And the way that Joe did this is that every month, year after year, Joe would send out greeting cards to every customer on his list. Inside would be a real simple message. So he understood that one day they're going to need a new car, and he wanted to keep himself top of mind. He was careful that he didn't have any sales pitch in there. But when he met clients for the first time, he'd also ask for the names of other people who purchased cars as well, and he would be sending them greeting cards on a regular basis. Eventually, Joe employed 2 other people to keep abreast of doing all this work. Joe has often said that he didn't believe in hard work, but what he does believe in is working smart. And no one approached selling cars any smarter than Joe did. So no matter what your offering is to your clients right now, if you don't have a referral or repeat business strategy in place, you're working too hard. In Joe's case, Joe only sold to people who were referred to him. By the time a prospect got to sit face to face with Joe, he didn't sell anything. He facilitated the buying process. Let me repeat that. He didn't sell anything. He merely facilitated the buying process. Just for a moment, imagine what that would mean to you if you had prospects coming to you and you didn't have to convince them that you were the right recruitment or search firm to engage. You simply facilitated the buying process. Imagine what that would mean to you. So look, there's 2 guys that are well worth modeling. But let's look at why you don't get enough referrals now. One of the key reasons is that you don't get referrals right now is you don't ask. You simply don't ask. And what we know is if you don't ask, you're denying somebody the opportunity of saying yes. Because sure, you will and can get referrals without asking. And virtually every recruiter and search firm I speak to will say, well, we do get referrals and we do get business through word of mouth, without even asking. And I'm sure if you do a good job, you will. But if you don't ask, you're never going to get any more than you're getting right now. It really is as simple as that. And the other reason it's important to ask is, despite what you might think, your business is not your client's priority. Now, if you think about it, as you're listening to this now, you're an owner or a director of a recruitment search business, and your priority tends to be your business. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing that's on your mind is your business. And it's exactly the same for your clients as well. The consequence of which, you are not a priority for them right now. And by asking more frequently, you will get more referrals.
So Terry, why is it that you think people don't ask at the moment, or don't ask as often as they should?
I think that's a really good question. First of all, I think there's a number of reasons for that. I remember talking to a client in Australia. We were talking about this, and she admitted that she had an element of discomfort about asking for referrals. She said, she said, I've always felt needy, and I can totally get that. And I know when we first embarked on our business, we were very much the same. There was an element of discomfort, wasn't there, for us?
Yeah. But yeah, 100%.
So that's a big factor. And then the chaps, I remember him saying to me, well, I'm kind of nervous about asking for referrals because I don't want to, I just feel like I might annoy my clients in some way. By the way, there's no evidence to support that. One of the things that was a shift for us, I remember we worked with a coach, and something that he said to us that really sort of shifted my mindset. And by the way, I think a lot of this is a shift in mindset. He said, the service that you offer to clients makes a massive difference to them. You add to the bottom line. You're guaranteed to increase their sales and increase their personal earnings. It's your duty to share this message with as many people as possible. And what I say to you is, you listen to this, if you're offering a good service and you're adding to your client's bottom line and making things easier for them, I'd argue it's your duty to be asking for referrals. What's your opinion of that, Drew?
Yeah, and again, I think it's, if you provide a service that helps people, it solves people's problems, then yeah, I agree that you should want to get that service to as many people as possible. So yeah, in that sense, it is your duty to ask. I think also as well, I'm not sure if you touched on this, that people enjoy giving you referrals. People like recommending people like helping their friends out. And again, if you provide a good service, you asking for a referral is going to give your client the opportunity to help out one of their friends, which everyone likes doing. Yeah,
that's a really good point. You will have clients, and we call them raving fans, who absolutely adore you, and nothing would give them more pleasure than to recommend you and refer you. And also, it's worth thinking that if, example, your decision makers, let's say, is VP of HR, that VP of HR is undoubtedly going to know other HR professionals. So they're going to know your target market, and I can safely say they're going to know at least a dozen other HR professionals who could have a need for your services. Just for a moment, just think what that would mean to you if every time you ask for a referral, you got a dozen names every single time.
You're listening to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed Podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.therenegaderecruiter.com.
So what we've covered so far is why referrals are the best leads that you can get, and we've kind of come on to why you don't get enough referrals. So we talked about the most people don't ask for them, and it's not the client's priority. And as I said, we talked to a lot of clients, and they say, yeah, well, we get a lot of referrals, and we get a lot of business through word of mouth. And we say, great, do you have a system for doing that? And they say, no. So although they're getting referrals, they're at the beck and call of whether their client remembers to give them a referral. And they've got no control over that whatsoever. And if you want to take your business to the next level, one of the things that you've got to make a priority is taking control of everything that you can control. And the good news is that you can control the number of referrals that you get into your business, but that's by having a system. And when I say a system, by the way, when we talk about referrals, we're not talking about the usual method of, I'm a great recruiter, you work in HR, who else do you know would have use to our services? Look, that'll work, but that's pretty crude. There's a very sophisticated way, and within the Recruitment Marketing Academy, we will actually give you what's called the referral kit that goes into the exact detail. And in fact, this whole system means that you're not directly asking for a referral. What you're going to do is, just very briefly, you're going to create something, and this book, it could be an ebook, it could be a report, it could be a white paper, is going to help solve other people's problems. So, example, very crudely, if you had something like why top performing executives will never ever join your firm and what to do about it, as your book, let's say. Saying to somebody in HR, I've got this book or this report, who else do you know can benefit from having this book? Do you see how that shifts the whole relationship? So you're not even directly asking for a referral. You're saying, who else can I help by giving them this book? Now you can get hold of the whole process within the Recruitment Marketing Academy. And if you go to www.drewcoaching.com/marketing academy, you can actually get hold of the precise system that will generate you a ton of leads, that will generate you a ton of business, that will generate a lot of money for you to put into your own personal bank account. So how you go about it? First of all, one of the things you're going to do is expect to get referrals. So I touched on it earlier. It is about this shift in your mindset. If you say, okay, from now on in, every year, we're going to get 200 referrals, as an example. See, just having that conversation with yourself will completely shift the way that you think. The next one is to ask for referrals.
Just on expect referrals from your clients. And again, so not only is it about a mindset shift, it's also about telling them that you expect them to give you referrals. So what you essentially say at the start of a relationship is that, hey, Mr. Client, one of the ways that we grow our business is via referrals. So at the end of this project, at the end of our time together, one of the things I'm going to do is ask you for a referral. Is that okay? And again, 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes. So what you've done is you've got them to expect that you're going to ask for a referral at some point in the relationship.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and the way that question's put is, you know, that what you're doing there is you're educating them as to, once we've completed this assignment, once we've filled these roles, one of the things we're going to do is we've got this report that will help your peers and your colleagues. And I'm going to be asking for some names I can send a report to. And if you end that sentence with something like, I guess that will be okay with you, won't it? Just call the yes tag. Like 99% of people go, yeah, that's fine. But you're actually positioning it right at the very beginning what you're going to do. And of course, then you fulfill that assignment, you fulfill those roles or whatever it is. And by the way, there's a really good point there, another point you've just raised there. Even if you work on contingency and you don't fulfill the roles, and you know somebody else, one of your competitors fills that role, it's still worth going through the process using the referral kit. Even if you ask for business from a client and they say no for whatever reason, we've got a relationship with somebody else, it's worth asking for referrals. Because what's interesting here, studies have found that despite that, as a recruiter and a search firm, you get a lot of no's, people don't like saying no. And the moment they say no, I'm not going to give this business to you for whatever reason, and you say, that's okay, I understand for whatever reason, and you then say, but I've got this report that will help solve your colleague's problem, they're more receptive to give you a referral, because there's this element of, well, I couldn't give them the business, but let me help them in another way. So this brings me on to, you've got to be asking all the time, not just on the completion of an assignment, but literally all the time you're engaging with clients or potential clients, you've got to be asking for referrals. Once you get those referrals, here's what's key now, is that you actually thank them and reward them for referrals. Now, I appreciate in some cases it may not be right to reward them financially if you don't win the business. But even if it's just taking them out for a meal, if you just drop them a line, a postcard or something, just explaining and thanking them will stand you in good stead. And then repeat the whole process over again. Anything to add to that, Drew?
I know, again, I think you covered it well. So yeah, let's just expect, ask, reward, repeat. And again, so this is something that you can do over and over and over again. Terry, per client, how many, and if they get this system in place, I get that we haven't gone through the whole system here. But as Terry said earlier, you can get more by joining the Recruitment Marketing Academy by going to drewcoaching.com/marketing academy. But how many, if you get this right, how many referrals can you expect to get per client or per year?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Let's tell you what, I'm going to answer it a different way. I'm going to do it per client or per, not even client, per interaction with a decision maker. The average is between sort of 8 and 12 per decision maker. Just think about that for a minute. So if you've only got 10 interactions with decision makers, and let's say that you only get 8 from each one, that's 80 leads you've got there, just like that. And when you get the entire it's called the Recruiter's Rapid Referral Kit. You can see how easy. By the way, the whole process is systemized. So you offer the report. They go to a landing page. They get the report. We go into precise detail exactly how it's done. And I want to say something at that point because you've raised another good point there, Drew. This isn't something that we've invented. And most of the stuff that we share with you in terms of generating leads and growing your business, we share with you what the most successful recruiters and search firms are doing this. So your competitors are doing this right now. If it works for them, it's going to work for your competitors. It works for you. But to answer your question, between an 8 and 12 names per decision maker, Drew.
Awesome.
And as Drew said, if you go to drewcoaching.com/marketing academy, you can get access to all that. Anything else you want to add to that, Drew?
No, again, I think you covered everything really well.
Excellent. And as we were sharing, as you were talking then, a story came into my mind. I think something came into my mind, and I often joke about it. My wife says, when things come into your mind, Terry, it's probably best that they stay there, but I tend to ignore that. So I want to share this story with you. 2 recruitment or search consultants were sitting down having a beer one night, and one said to the, I have a confession to make. I haven't always been faithful to my wife. And his colleague, who's also his business partner, was aghast and said, "You're kidding me?" He said, "No, I haven't." And he said, "But it's been bothering me. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to come clean to my wife and beg for forgiveness." And his business partner said, "That's okay, but let me just offer a word of caution that you don't reveal the names of the people you've been unfaithful to, because it's not fair on them. You're going to get them in trouble." So that night, the search consultant goes home and he confesses all to his wife. His wife's reaction kind of surprised him because her curiosity outweighed her anger. "Tell me," she demanded, "who have you slept with? Was it that widow, Mrs. Smith, down the road?" "I really can't say," said the husband. "I know it's that loose tramp Linda from 2 blocks down the street. She slept with everyone in town." "Discretion forbids, my darling, from saying any more." Then she replied, "That young receptionist in your office, I know how she kept looking at you," his wife said confidently. "You went to bed with that crazy loon. Now everybody in your office will know, and you'll be the laughing stock at the office party." Once again, the husband said nothing. The next day, the search consultant went to the office and his partner said, "How did things go?" And he replied, "Terrific. Not only did my wife forgive me, but she also gave me 3 warm leads." The moral of the story is that true professionals know that in order to succeed at sales, they need referrals. They also know that once someone starts giving you a referral, just take note and don't interrupt. Just listen until they run out of names. You'll never know how many leads that you'll get. Listen, thank you very much, Drew, for your report. I really appreciated that. As usual, some great stuff there, Drew. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter. Take care. take action, and be relentless.